Hi, everybody. How are you? How are you? I am Penda James, and I want to welcome you to the Resilience Project. Today is going to be an awesome conversation with Latifa Miller. And let me tell y'all, today is really my third time meeting her. But I feel like I have known her forever.
Mhm.
Sometimes we resonate with each other. We have a lot of mutual friends, and so this conversation that we're having is a topic that I gave her. Latifa, I want you to tell people about you, but I'm gonna tell you what I know about you.
Okay.
When you are in the room, you have a quiet presence, but you see and observe everything. You are one who feels people really deeply. And when you speak, people listen. I listen. You have a lot of wisdom and you care a lot about people. So those of you who know her, you know that she has a non-profit Daughters of Zion 101. She's in a sorority. I tried to wear blue today, but I don't have anything blue because I have lots of red. But I didn't have anything blue. I wanted to wear blue today because I wanted to honor you in that. And I know lots of women who wear blue, and I wanted to honor all of y'all today. So, Latifa, I thank you for being here with me today on the Resilience Project. Is there something that I did not say about you that you want our listeners who will watch us live and those who will watch the replay to know about you?
Well, thank you for having me. I am really grateful to be here. You said a lot. I'm originally from Philadelphia, so I am a transplant to the city of Pittsburgh. So I often find that I have a lot in common with other women who have also migrated here from other places. I am the founder of Daughters of Zion, which is an enrichment program for girls. As our girls have grown into young women, we have also started another project for women and young women called Her, and they are
Mm.
roundtables, and it's about healing, evolving, and just basically rejuvenating. And that has been amazing. It's been about a year for that. Daughters of Zion is about 7.5 years old. I am a wife and a mama. I keep calling him my baby, but my child is 20 years old and a sophomore in college. And my daughter is 28 and she is in nursing school. So my baby
Wow.
babies at all, but they are my babies.
They are your babies. And um, we always are going to call them our babies no matter what. So we're going to talk about balance. Now I know this is a topic that I gave to you because you said that you didn't have balance. But then as we started to talk, I'm like, you brought a completely different perspective to me about balance. So how do you define what balance is?
For me, a lot of balance is about having peace of mind, and balance is about moving in a way that is very intentional. Balance is not haphazard. For me, it is not.
Mhm.
It's not just about checking off everything on the to do list. It really is about having a sense of purpose and understanding that the things that I did or the things that I didn't do were all about the things that I was called to do. And it takes a presence that requires a lot of energy. So you have to be focused, you have to be mindful. You just can't willy-nilly your way through and have balance. When I do it willy-nilly, I'm not walking in purpose. I'm not being my authentic self. And that's not balance for me. So a lot about balance also has to do about being authentic.
You said a lot, and I needed to let it resonate within me for a moment. Okay, so what I get is that balance that I should have wrote it down. But balance is really a part of our calling.
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about what your calling is.
So I'm learning a lot about my calling in this stage. My kids aren't here anymore, so I'm an empty nester. So that gives you a different type of focus. And I am learning that I am truly called to women. I am called to
Mm.
deposit wisdom to women. Um, and while people who know me are like, of course, for me, that's kind of a newfound revelation. It was something that happened, but it wasn't something that I was like, this is my purpose in life. This is what I'm supposed to do. But I am learning that it is what I am supposed to do. So, in order to give someone the wisdom that is for them, not my opinion, but truly that wisdom, you have to be able to be still and be quiet so that you can hear and have that discernment to know when are you supposed to speak, who are you supposed to speak to, and how much are you supposed to say, or what are you not supposed to say. You know what I mean? So it's not scripted. The anointing just kind of hits sometimes, and you just have to be obedient to that. But if I have a lot of noise going on in my life, a lot of chatter, then I might not hear.
Mhm.
Not hearing, then I could potentially miss an opportunity, or not so much miss an opportunity, but not say the right thing to the right person at the right time with with the right tone and the right tempo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That really matters when God has given you something to deposit in someone else's life. When you are planting that seed, that timing has to be right. Um,
Oh, that's good. Okay. So how has balance been a thread throughout your life?
bal- balance has been a thread because I don't thrive in crazy. I
Hmm.
just, even as a little kid, like when it gets real, I'm the one that's over somewhere in the corner, because it's too much, it's too loud, it's just too many things going on. So I didn't know it when I was younger that it was pivotal to who I was. But now that I'm older and you're reflecting back, I'm able to see that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or if I'm in a situation and things are starting to get out of control, I'll find myself being the peacemaker or the level setter. You know, I'm the one saying, okay, well, you all need to have a little bit more grace, and you all need to slow down just a little bit and just have a different perspective to try to get everybody on one accord, on one page, so that communication can happen, people can have understanding. But honestly, I've always been that way. When things were unjust, it never
Mm.
well with me. I went to an all girls school, and it was a predominantly white school. I went there, elementary, middle, and high school. And, women of color were not always treated well. And it just didn't settle with me. And I literally began the process of, with some other African American students, of starting a Black Action Society in high school. That's a college thing. But we
Yeah.
high school because I couldn't rest. It just wasn't okay, and it needed to really change. So for me, even at a young age, it was more than just a conversation. I need to see action, and when we leave out of this space, we need to leave something behind for the people who are have yet to come. They shouldn't experience the injustices that we experienced. They might experience their own as something new, but they shouldn't. I'm always saying, you shouldn't bump your head on a rock I already bumped mine on.
Are you still friends with any of the people from high school?
I actually am. And what's really interesting is when uh, a lot of injustice happened this summer. I can't even name one name fairly. It was a lot of
Yeah.
injustice that occurred over this summer. And the students reached out to the alumni. And someone reached out to me and said, I heard you were a part of the original Black Action Society. Talk to me about that, because we are going to the board of trustees, and they weren't okay with how the school responded. They felt that their response was complacent. And they wanted to hear from students about what was your experience like when you were there. And we were able to share and to talk about what that looked like. The good thing was our school actually responded in a way that made me proud. They have a lot of work,
Wow.
but they did respond, and they had an ear to hear, and they didn't make excuses.
Hmm.
They owned their shortcomings and welcomed the students to the table to work on creating change.
Man, that's amazing that you were a big part of that years ago, not knowing how things were going to be 2020 with its crazy self,
Right.
showing us craziness that we've never seen before. But I think one of the things that I'm learning from you in this conversation is that when I feel out of balance, it's because I'm not still enough.
Hmm.
And so I think having some of the reactions that we may have to certain situations, or being frustrated and tired and lashing out at somebody or something like that, it really, these are indicators that we are out of balance.
Yep. And I
But
learned
you
the hard way. I mean, I didn't just know them. I learned the hard way. And what's interesting is sometimes those lessons will come from my son. We had an open, I would sense when he would get frustrated
okay.
and he just needed like space. But as parents, we don't give kids that. We want answers when we want answers. And so we had kind of code words like, listen, it's okay for you to tell me now is not a good time to have this conversation.
Hmm.
And sometimes he would say, Mom, I think you're just tired. I think you're just doing too much. Like he would literally say that to me. And I'm like, he's like 10. Like, what?
Oh,
He was
you're
absolutely
right.
correct. And so through those conversations with my son, I was able to, just pay different attention. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's exactly what this is.
Man, that's good. And even sometimes we're dehydrated.
Hmm.
That's another thing. I read an article that says you're not hungry, you're thirsty.
Hmm.
And I read that like way back in 2003, and I've never forgotten that. That a lot of times when I'm yawning, or I'm, feeling lethargic or whatever, it's because I need to drink some water. And being dehydrated is a form of being out of balance.
Hmm. Your body talks to you. It tells you. We just have to learn to listen. And so while, we're on this big kick about self-care and getting
Hmm.
massages and getting our nails done, it's a little bit different to me. It's really about knowing who you are and understanding that and having that intimate relationship with yourself, which includes being able to listen to your body.
What might be some other things that indicate to us that we're out of balance that you can think of?
For me, it's when I'm highly emotional, when my emotional response doesn't match the situation. Road rage, you on
Ah.
church trying to run somebody over. Hell, that's balance. You might want to think some things over a little bit. I also think that sometimes when feelings of jealousy and envy kick in
Mm,
instead of just admiring someone else, but I admire you, but I'm envious of you. So when your responses tend to hit that negative space as opposed to a neutral or a positive space, sometimes something's off within you.
mm, that's good. So I want to just take a pause for this moment, just to thank the people who are watching us live and those who will watch the replay. If you don't know me, my name is Penda James, and what I do is I help people get unstuck, execute their goals, and inscribe their legacy. But what I've been doing for the past few, I guess, months now is having chats with people that I care about. And I've been calling this the Resilience Project, because each conversation that I have is a declaration. And this declaration that Latifa and I are having is, I have balance. And the declaration, if you don't have a journal, here's a perfect journal for you. I think it's important for us to remember our declarations and to remember where we are. So when we feel out of balance, when we feel depleted, we can come back to that place and remember what God said about us. So, the people, what do you want us to know about balance?
That is worth what it takes to get it. You should never be too busy to have balance. and just really to prioritize things so that you can have it. Balance could be I need more time with my girlfriends to just sit
Mhm.
on the couch and kick back and laugh. Balance could be I need to take that trip to go see my aunt Selena. I really need to go and sit at her feet and let auntie pour into you. Balance could be I'm going to get a meal prep service and I'm not going to try to cook every day. That's not working for me. Balance doesn't have to look like the, two kids in a white picket fence and all those traditional things. Balance can look a little bit different, but do what makes it work for you and the people that care about you so that you can be your best self. My husband used to tell me I'd be in the kitchen doing stuff, and he like, well, why are you doing that? And I was like, oh, well, because he's like, but nobody asked you to do that and it's depleting you. And then your disposition is going to be off. We don't want that negative affect. So if we need to eat pizza so that you can keep your peace of mind, okay, then we can eat some pizza. It's
Mhm.
really going to be okay. But here I was, a young mom trying to do all these things to check off all the boxes about what a good mom and a good wife is supposed to do. Those things weren't necessarily the right things for my family. So
Yeah,
I need you to understand about balance is it's worth it, but you have to figure out what balance is for you and not try to model what you see somebody else doing.
that's good right there because I think we do look at what other people are doing and kind of compare and
Mhm.
say, oh, she gets her nails done and she gets her hair done. And I've learned from people in my life that sometimes those things are not self care, it's a part of their uniform. I have one friend who works in physical therapy, and she says that as one of the only black women on her job, she needs to look a certain way. She's always
Mhm.
going to get her hair done. Whereas when my mom was alive and she went to get her hair done, self care was getting her hair done so she could get a
Mhm.
massage. You
Right.
know, so I think that's really good. Is we need to stop playing the comparison game when it comes to doing what's right for you. That's what you said. I love that. So I want to thank y'all who are watching us. If y'all have any questions for the people, put them in the chat. Now, nobody's chatting right now, but she will come back and look at the comments a little bit later if you do have questions, if you're watching the replay. I want you to tell us, you talked a little bit earlier about, finding your purpose and, the Daughters of Zion and her has been helpful for me and I'm an adult that our talking session was really really powerful for me to unfold a little bit. But if you had the opportunity to share with this group of people who are watching about Daughters of Zion and the work that you do and how it helps you create balance, what would you say?
I would say the work that I do is probably similar to work other people do. I created a space for what I needed when I was younger. I figured if I needed it, someone else needed it. So Daughters of Zion actually isn't, as I mentioned earlier, is an enrichment program for girls, but we are actually designed for good girls. We often find that bad girls have
Mm.
they have a lot of support. Once you get in trouble, people are willing to help you and walk you through things because you're a bad girl. But when you're a good girl, sometimes what you're doing and what the bad girl are doing are the same things. The difference is the bad girl has been caught. She has gotten
Mm.
jammed up in her mess. You've managed not to get caught up in your mess. They don't know that you're getting high. They don't know that you letting little Johnny put his hands down your pants. They don't know that you're sneaking out at night. They don't know that you're sexting on your phone. So they're not treating you they're treating you with kid gloves, and they're not necessarily having those hard intimate conversations that they need to have. And so we create that safe space for our girls. At Daughters of Zion, we also do cohorts, meaning we start with them very young. So oftentimes we're building relationship with girls who are 10, 11, 12 years old, because when they're 13, 14, 15, 16, they're picking up the phone to call us. So we have talked to them about their character. We have talked to them about boundaries. We have talked to them about their emotions and their hormones and things that are going to happen. And they're like, ew, we don't want to talk about it. But then when it happens, they know
Mm.
exactly where to go. They know exactly where they can talk through that issue with without any judgment. They're just very aware, like, wait a minute, they told me this was going to happen. They told me that this was coming. They can help me walk through this situation. And so what we find is, we're having these deep conversations throughout high school. They go away to college or become, young adults working, and they're still facing those issues. And they call like, Miss Latifa, it's been a month. What I need to talk. This is what's going on. This is what my boyfriend said. This is how he's treating me. He hit me and I was scared, but you told me not to react. Help me navigate how I backpedal out of this situation because it's going the wrong way. I love him, but I know because of what I've learned, this is not what love looks like. So I don't have to sit around and wait for the next hit for me to recognize that he's abusive. You taught me a long time ago that red flags are red and you are to respond to them. They're not cute. So we've really been building this. That's what Daughters of Zion is about. It's about building relationships for girls so that when they are in crisis, one, identify that it's crisis, but two, they know exactly where to turn and not turning to strangers when things get rough. When things get rough, they already know where to go to. And girls don't always talk to their mothers. They just
Yeah, no.
always come home and how you gonna tell mommy who told you don't have sex, be abstinent, get married to a good guy? How you gonna come home and tell her about the boy that's not the nice guy that she already told you that you weren't allowed to talk to, and you want to talk about your emotions because you've been intimate with him, but you think he's messing with your friend?
I mean, I have one myself, and so I try to to create a village around her so that when she doesn't feel comfortable talking to me because I may react or I might get upset, she does have somebody that she can call. And so I want to thank you for doing that work because it's important. It's a niche that I think is often forgotten, and and especially for me being in the position that I'm in, being married to a leader in the ministry. I hear all kinds of things about young people and young women, and one of the most popular things that I hear is that they're not adults until they become 18. But in my perspective, they need the training before they get 18.
Yes.
So when they become 18, they'll understand what to do. And we are taught that if you got to be strong and you can't cry and you can't do all these things. But if you're doing young women training when they become women, it won't be hard for them when they become 46 and feel overwhelmed and out of balance because they understood what to do from somebody who stepped in when they were young. So thank
Right.
you. Thank you for doing that work. It's important, it's valuable, and I want to know how I can sew. And so if I'm the only one who sews and all I have is $25, I'm going to sew my $25 into somebody's life. But I want to know if you have a wish list for Daughters of Zion and if there's anything that you might need that anybody in my network might be able to provide.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Our wish list is really being able to provide our girls with opportunities. So, for example, we have a conference coming up in November. It's typically a conference out of Philly that we travel to, but it's COVID-19, so it's virtual. And so we're getting a hotel for them to be able to get together, and we're collaborating with two other girls groups to do that. And so the funds, our goal is when our girls are with us, that they're not worrying about paying for things. And so the coverage for the hotel to feed them while they're there, their registration for the conference, all of those things are definitely needs. So the ability to sponsor a girl, which is about $65 per girl, would be an amazing blessing. We do have a cash app, which is DOZ 101. For Daughters of Zion 101. We also have a website and a Facebook page under those same names, Daughters of Zion 101. So you can definitely look us up that way and follow us. But we like to create experiences for girls. So creating journals for them and then being able to come together and have those group discussions, as you and I were talking about earlier, being able to take them to dance classes. A friend has dance classes over on the West End, but to
Mm,
be able to get the girls together and take them to that, just to In Pittsburgh, actually, a lot of girls don't come outside of their community, or you meet girls that say they've never left Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
Wasn't raised that way per se, but it is a very real experience for them. So we try to broaden their horizons and get them around different things to let them know that their dreams really are possible. And so they wanted to go, again, COVID stopped us, but the girls wanted to go to Jamansville. They were like,
Oh,
we want to see the cross. So to
oh,
be able to say yes to them requires those financial resources to be able to rent a van to take them all at one time. You know what I mean? It's things like that. So just having the resources to be able to say yes to them that's really our greatest need for them.
well, hopefully somebody who's watching will feel moved upon their heart to sow into your ministry, because that's what it is, the ministry. You're building women. And I would encourage anybody who's watching, I put the cash app in the comments, $5 helps. This
Yes.
is not what we what we were planning to do and what we were planning to talk about, but God just moved it on my heart because this is important, especially in this COVID season where there are young girls feeling suicidal and feeling anxious
Mhm.
and feeling alone because they can't be connected to their friends. And the work that you're doing helps to bridge that gap. And I don't want any young woman to feel outside of the circle. And so I just really, really wanted to allow you that space to tell what you needed, because there's people out here who want to sow, they just don't know where. And I believe
Mhm.
that you have good ground. I believe you have good ground. Is there anything else that you want to say about balance or about our conversations? This has been good.
Thank you. It really has been good. Again, I just really think it's about fighting for your authentic self, fighting to find space for her, fighting to understand what that looks like, fighting to not let someone else define that for you, fighting to really have that peace of mind and not to feel like you got to be the superwoman. Like, it's okay. Take your cape off and cry. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. And it's fine. And if the people around you are judging you for that, you got the wrong people in your front row. You probably need a whole shift in your life if the people around you are distracting, if the people around you are creating noise and chatter that takes away from your peace. It's okay to
Yeah.
break away. It really is okay to break away. It might feel some type of way, but that freedom is necessary.
And what I learned from you tonight is that if you have too much of that, you're out of balance. And the one thing I learned from, Diana, I talked to her last night. So if y'all didn't see that conversation about making room for God, she told me one time, Latifa, that you need people in your life who are above you that you're trying to aspire to, people who are on your level that you're working with, and people who are underneath you that you're bringing up. And if you have too many people in any different level, you're out of balance.
Yep.
So there's so many indicators in our life. If we're thirsty, if we're tired, if we're yelling, really super emotional, if we're feeling jealous, all of these things that we discussed tonight are really indicators of being out of balance. So
Mhm.
give us some tools to get back in balance.
One of
And
the
then
biggest
we'll
things,
let you go.
one of those things is to ask for help. Ask for help. Sometimes you just throw in a towel like, hey, hello, I'm not okay. I am not okay. And I need my sisters. I need my aunties. I am not okay. And having people that will say, oh, I'm not judging you. I'm not going to remind you of this later. I'm simply going to come to your aid because that's what sisters do. So whether it's a sorority, whether it's your church friends, whether it's your family, you got to have those people that you can absolutely call on. You mentioned it earlier. Don't compare yourself to other people. If they're doing fantastic, cheer them on, but understand there's room for everybody. There really is room for everybody because God made us with a specific purpose, and there's space for your purpose. And all the space someone else might be taking up will not intrude on the space that's designed for you. So don't allow those fears to kind of get in your mind and play games on you. You got to realize the enemy's whole strategy is not for you to It's not to destroy you or to tear you down. It's just not to have you walking in your purpose. So if you over here walking doing great things, the enemy's cool with you being over there walking great things because you're not on your watch. You're not doing the thing that God has called you to do. So as long as you're off schedule and out of sync, the enemy's cool because you're not doing what you were called to do. So understand that this balance thing is so important. It is important, and it requires giving yourself grace. It requires
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself. We're all going to make mistakes. We're going to misstep. You're going to fall in love with the wrong person. You're not going to say yes to the right opportunity. It's going to happen. Okay. Forgive yourself and look forward to what is next. What is the next thing that I am supposed to be doing? In spite of the fact that I may have botched up that thing over there. Those things are so important. So just staying focused to me is a big part of balance, and having your ears open to hear. There's always somebody around you who's telling you when you're off.
Yeah.
Is, are you listening to them? Or are you calling them a hater? Oh, she just hating on me because she want my man. She might want your man, but she might also be telling you the truth.
That's good. I never thought about that. I'm really going to have to come back and watch this again with my journal and just really capture some of these things because you made me rethink what balance is. I write about it, I talk about it, I teach about it, but I think in this season of my life where I'm coming back to me,
Mhm.
this balance means for me now that I got to go back to God and I have to come back to where and when and how I first loved him when I first loved him. And so I've been out of balance all these years trying to please everybody else all around me. And
Mhm.
now it's coming back to what is God telling you to do, Penda? What is God telling you to do, Latifa? So this was good and I thank you.
I thank you. I thank you for creating this space. This space is necessary. And I thank you for taking the time and the courage to make the space. I know it hasn't always been easy, but you did it. And it's so necessary. This platform is so important. It's important for me, it's important for you, and it's important for everybody watching. And we wouldn't have this had you not said yes. So thank you.
You're welcome. I will not deflect your compliments. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment box so that we can come back and chit chat with you. We appreciate you for watching. I love you.
Thanks.
Bye.